In five, four, three, two. Good evening and welcome to episode 2, Behind the Stick, of the Boinger Sports podcast, which doesn't officially have a name yet. Something we have to work on. Shout out to Freddie Benson with the intro. Here we are on Friday morning, September 10th, the day before the 20th anniversary of the unfortunate, devastating incidents of September 11th, 2001. It's hard to believe 20 years has passed by. I was here that night. That was a long day for everybody, I'm sure. But looking back over the last 20 years, and I can remember having worked the night before and not having gotten much sleep because I got woken up, by phone calls alerting me to what was going on. And I was living in Tarrytown at the time with my dad. And my dad actually woke me up. He said, "You got to get up. You're getting phone calls and something's going on." And we put the news on, and I came out to the second plane hitting the tower live, which was waking up and seeing that was like, what the hell's going on here? At that same time, I'm on the phone with my best friend who's in Manhattan asking me questions of what I'm watching on television. I'm trying to give him the play-by-play, and I just could not describe what I was watching. He said the World Trade Center was hit by a plane. I said, "Yeah, I see the building smoking. Something exploded." He's like, "Yeah, it was hit by a plane." And then as he's telling me this, the second plane hits the second tower. And I say to him, "Another plane just flew into the building. And I got to go." So he gets off the phone. And, I mean, what transpired that day right after that was just it's still hard to put into words what we saw that day on television, what happened that day. But I can remember, after an entire day of staring at the news, just trying to comprehend what was happening, and then being in a position to try and relay messages to friends who had to leave work, trying to find people. People were kind of using my place as a home base to contact so that they could contact their families. I was just trying to be available because, you don't know what to do. You want to help. You want to do something. You're watching this chaos unfold on TV, and you're trying to make sense of it. There's just no making sense of it. Even 20 years later, regardless of what anybody believes, whose fault it was, who did it, conspiracy theories aside, it's incomprehensible. And as it's unfolding that day, I can remember calling people's brothers and sisters and emailing and texting, and to have the AOL chat room open. Is anybody there? Is everybody okay? You're getting a status email from a friend that's checking on everybody that works in Manhattan. And then I remember not going to work that day because it was, I was just so caught off guard by it. I just was like, this is not something you can ignore. I'm not coming into work today. That was for my day job at the time when I worked for the architect. Rest in peace. But I did work the bar that night, and that's why I opened with 9/11 tonight, because we're on the precipice of the 20th anniversary, and I felt it was important to at least acknowledge the events and pay respects to those who we lost that day. I remember coming into work at 8 o'clock. "Just, I think we're done." And just being here for people coming in after work or people who didn't make it into the city that day, and regulars were coming in slowly but surely. And at the end of the night, or closer towards the end of the night, when the first wave of EMTs, firemen, cops were on their way back, just being here and knowing that they were safe, seeing them walk in the door, and the just indescribable looks upon their faces. I mean, it was just, there were no words. And you just put a drink in front of somebody, and it was just pretty silent here. And every television is showing over and over again what happened that day. And then live shots from that night with other things going on. And the reports coming in that there were bombs and car bombs and more activity, and places were under siege, and a lot of misinformation. And that first night was just staring into an open wound that you just didn't know how to stop the bleeding. And all I could do was be here for, anybody that was going to walk through the door that day that just needed to step away from the television. And it was impossible to put on anything because there was nothing else on. So it was, even if you put on ESPN or you put on, you couldn't put on a baseball game or a football game. There was nothing was moving. The entire country was shut down. So basically, if you weren't home watching it on television and you wanted to get out and get a break, you couldn't break away from it. It was still in your face everywhere you looked. So I was just happy to be here for my guests, and knowing that people that were walking in the door were safe. And there was, like I said, you want to help, you want to be able to do something. Do you volunteer to go down? Do you stay home? Do they want you? I mean, you're talking about endless droves of people that came to help, that were, qualified first responders. And I think that might be the first time we heard the term first responder. And it's prevalent now in our vocabulary. And as a bartender, I'm not a teacher or a doctor or a fireman or a cop, but shortly after that, I coined the phrase third responder. And it's not a joke. It's you realize when you, especially after 26 years behind this bar, people grieve in different ways. People come here for different things. People come here to take a load off. People come here to put the load on. But a bartender, a waitress, a cook, a manager at a restaurant, places like this, everybody, the first and second responders, this is where they come when they're done. So I think of myself as a third responder in that context, where I'm taking in those people when they're done doing what they do, helping victims. And they needed a place to come. They went to bars, they went to restaurants. I mean, I would think after 9/11 it took a while for things to get normal. I don't think we really returned to normal after 9/11, but we pressed on. And here we are 20 years later. We're going to watch the Mets and the Yankees play a series in Queens as a tribute. I guess it's a tribute, recognizing what happened that day and trying to pay honor to the victims of 9/11, which in all the years since then, it seems like we've, and I have to be very delicate here with my words because I don't want to offend anybody, but we seem to have this obsession with grief to a certain degree. I'm lucky because you know, 6 degrees of separation became 1 and 2 degrees of separation on 9/11. Everybody knows somebody that was affected by that. And that's a hard thing. Families were shattered. I cannot imagine what those families have been going through for the last 20 years. Countless stories. We don't have to go over them. I'm certainly not going to start rattling them off here, but it puts in perspective sports. It makes you think how important something really is. Post 9/11 was a reflective period for a lot of people where certain things just stopped to matter. Insignificant things. But you hug your family a little tighter. I think post 9/11 people were a little bit nicer to one another in those first 3 months afterwards. People were kinder. It was please and thank you. You first. People would stop at stop signs. These sound like little insignificant things, but things that I remember, things that I noticed. And that lasted for a little while. And then what happened? Things got political and things started to go sideways. The blame game, politicians making absurd statements. Of course, we ended up in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I'm going to stay away from that tonight. I mean, one thing I will say is, you knew if you elected George Bush in 2000 that you were going to go to war in Iraq. Nobody could foresee 9/11 happening. What I don't think anybody could foresee was Afghanistan, and I'm glad it's over, because 20 years later was too long. Whether I agree or disagree with how it ended is irrelevant. It's over, and I'm glad it's over. And I'm hoping now that it will bring some closure to the families of the victims of 9/11. And I'm hoping that, all these years later, we can sort of get back to normal and not have to feel that heavy weight of grief every time this day rolls around. We shouldn't forget it. It should be remembered, but I think it's time to roll back the obsession with grieving these things, because it takes time. It takes time to heal wounds. And I certainly would not expect the families of the victims of 9/11 to stop grieving or to forget their loved ones. I wouldn't suggest that in any way, shape, or form. But for the rest of us who are lucky, guys like me, people like me, I lost friends, and I'm not, like I said, I'm lucky because even though I lost friends, high school classmates, people that I lived in town with in Pelham, I'm lucky because it wasn't somebody extremely close or in my inner circle. And I don't mean that to sound callous. I mean it to say that I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate that, my friends that worked in the city got out alive. A few of my classmates didn't make it. A parent of a child that I coached was the first guy on the scene, didn't make it. So that will never go away. I will never forget them. And I will continue to remember them. But I've been able to grieve that my own way. I'm sure other people are still grieving. But as a whole, for the sake of the country, for the sake of, not politicizing anything, it's time to kind of begin to move past the yearly, I don't want to say celebrating, but the remembrance of 9/11 should remain. Just I think now it's time to let it rest. If that might not be a good way to put it, but every year when this time rolls around, we start thinking about it at the end of August. It seems to be a milestone date for sports activities and things like that. And the people who perpetrated that don't deserve that. The victims deserve so much more than that. But we'll move on. The Yanks are playing the Mets on Saturday. Right? They play a 3-game series in Queens, right, Just? Saturday? No DeGrom for the Mets. He won't be back until after the 15th. I don't think he should pitch at all. The Yanks are on a huge skid. They just lost 3 in a row or 4 in a row to the freaking Blue Jays. And they're now a game back of the Red Sox for the wild card. Yanks have some question marks. I don't think they have anybody in that clubhouse that has galvanized them. I thought Odor was kind of that guy just because they seemed to wake up after he came here. And then, of course, they traded for Gallo and Rizzo, and away they went. They win 13 games in a row, and then all of a sudden they lose 9 out of 11. Now I think they've lost 11 out of 13, something like that. And they're dropping in the standings. This is a tank job. This is what I would say if you were looking at... Well, I'm not going to pick on the Mets. The Yankees are collapsing. And I want to point to one thing about the collapse. When they had won 13 games in a row, they were out west. I think they were playing Oakland, and Cortez was pitching, and it was the first inning. And he gave up 2 runs, and there was a questionable play at the plate. There was the umpires making terrible calls. There was a makeup call at third base. They had a call in a replay. The Yankees lost a replay because they challenged one they shouldn't have. They went into freaking panic mode in the first inning. And I'm not going to harp on Joe Torre, but they could have used a little bit of Joe Torre right there. Stay calm. Cortez is on the mound freaking out. It's the first inning. You're down by 2 runs. You just won 13 games in a row. You got to have some poise. You got to relax. You got to just, okay, file that. Guy made a bad call. Guy got away with one. Guy was safe. They called him out. Guy was out. They called him safe. Be cool, bro. It's the first inning. So what I've seen since then is there seems to be trepidation that has permeated the Yankee clubhouse. And they've gone back to this laissez-faire attitude that they have about playing baseball. It's like that saying, next man up. In the Yankee clubhouse is, the next guy will get it. And that's not what winning ball clubs do. You got to go out there and make things happen. And you got to play smart baseball. The Yankees are just not doing that right now. They're not running the bases well. It's everything we saw before the trade deadline. They're not pitching. They're not hitting. They're striking out. It's all or nothing. And as a result, they're back in the tank. They're not winning games. So how do you fix that? I don't know that they can fix that. And all the finger pointing and questioning and everything else is good. Chapman can't get anybody out to save a game. Cole might be hurt. We don't know the status yet, how bad the injury is. All these things leading into what we are hoping is going to be a playoff run after you win 13 games in a row and you look unbeatable. But who did they beat when they won those 13 games in a row? Did they play anybody? I mean, I know they beat the Red Sox in that doubleheader, but that was 2 7-inning games. I don't think the Yankees win those games if they go 9 innings. They can't get out of their own way after the 7th inning. That's been their problem all season. the lineup is every day changes. Gallo he's in a tough spot. He's not hitting. He's pressing probably. He seems to have a positive effect on the hitters that are in front of him, and behind him, to be honest. All these guys started hitting when Rizzo and Gallo got here. But now that seems to have subsided. And it seems like, just a few guys are getting things done. Last night, they had 3 opposite field hits, and I said, all right, maybe we're waking up. Maybe they're getting back to basics. Maybe they reeled it in, but then, they couldn't finish. Tonight they got walloped again. I think they lost 6-4 tonight, but it just seemed like they were never in the game. I know it was 2-2 at one point because Rizzo hit a 2-run bomb. The Yanks gave it right back. So I don't think that they're equipped to win right now in terms of their mentality, the way they approach the game. They have all the pieces. They have everything they need to win in the postseason. But if I had to make a bet right now, I don't even know if they're going to make the postseason the way they're playing. They're certainly not going to make the postseason if they continue this way. That's just a given. Even if they went 500 at this point, I don't think you can make the playoffs. And the Blue Jays look like they're world beaters right now. They have a lot of young talent. They can hit. They are streaky, but they're hot at the right time. And the Red Sox are laughing all the way to the bank because nobody thought they would be anywhere near a playoff spot, and they're right in the mix. And one thing about the Red Sox, much as I hate them and that whole fucking city, they know how to win. They got over the hump of Babe Ruth and the curse. They're not afraid to play anybody. It doesn't matter who's pitching for them. They can lose 3 games in a row, and it doesn't change their attitude. They come out to beat you every day. And there's something to be said for that because those are the teams that go far in the playoffs. If you were any team right now, doesn't matter what your record is, there's always a team out there that nobody wants to play, right? Nobody, as bad as they are, if they could scrape together a few wins, I can guarantee you if they are healthy, nobody wants to play the Mets in a short series. You can laugh all you want, but I guarantee you the last team anybody wants to play in a 1-game playoff with DeGrom on the mound, no one wants to play the Mets. No one wants to see them. That's a lose-lose situation. San Francisco can handle the Mets. Do you think the Dodgers want to see the Mets in the first round? No chance. Find me a team in the American League that wouldn't take the Yankees on right now. There's not one team out there that's afraid of the Yankees. Nobody's afraid of the Yankees anymore. I'm not saying the Mets are world beaters. That's not what I'm saying. They're dangerous. They can win a short series. They have weapons. They're not playing very well right now, and they're not going to make the playoffs. But my point is, who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The Yankees aren't the big bad wolf anymore. They've got all this money and all this talent, and they've got players. It doesn't end. And, even a guy like Brett Gardner, who's a veteran that everybody's ready to get rid of, that's a guy who gets a solid at bat in a playoff game and walks or fouls off 16 pitches or knocks a pitcher out of the game or steals a base. That's a gamer. Stanton, he's hitting all of a sudden. I have to take back every negative thing I've said about him for the last 3 years. And I don't care about the playoffs last year. That didn't count with COVID. I don't care about any of that. All right? Because you shit on A-Rod, and A-Rod beat the Twins by himself 3 times. So I'm going to continue to shit on Giancarlo Stanton because he's not carrying this team. And he wasn't hitting before Rizzo and Gallo got here. He wasn't getting big hits. Now all of a sudden, with those guys in the lineup, this guy is producing. So somebody lit a fire under his ass. Well, good. But Let me see what you can do when it counts. Can you pick this team up out of the doldrums? Can you carry this team on your back? Can you be an MVP? Can you beat A-Rod? I don't see that. I really don't. All I see is another Giambi Albatross contract in Stanton. And he's going to cost us. He's going to cost us big time when we can't land the free agents that we need to be here. The best thing that may happen to the Yankees right now is that if they do make the playoffs, obviously win the World Series. But let's say they don't win the World Series. We need the luxury cap raised because we're not spending money like we used to. George Steinbrenner is long gone. And he ain't coming back. And they're making money hand over fist. So, if they don't raise the salary cap, the Yankees better pray to God that Major League Baseball comes to its senses. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. The National League needs to adopt a DH. If that happens, maybe we can get rid of Stanton. Maybe. You go to the Dodgers. Anybody will take him out in the National League. Let him go. I'd love to see him go to the Mets. I thought he was perfect for the Mets. I thought the Mets should have been all over Giancarlo Stanton the same way they were all over Mike Piazza. The minute his name was up for grabs, his name was in the hat, he was getting traded. I know they were in the middle of the saga, the Wilpon saga. Irrelevant. That guy would have been perfect for the Mets. Him and Lindor and Manny Machado, those guys were all available, and the Mets couldn't even sniff it because of what happened. Bernie Madoff. That's what happened. But Yankee fans are happy about that. Not this Yankee fan. I want them to be good when we beat them. I want them to be better so that when we beat them, it fucking hurts more. And I'm not a mean guy. Right? I'm telling you, I want them to be good. It's better for me when I'm behind this bar and the Mets are good because I get all the annoying Met fans that come in here that I haven't seen in years. They come out of the woodwork when the Mets start winning. Oh, can you put the Mets on the TV? Like the Knicks fans this year that came in. Right? Oh, the Knicks. Can you put the Knicks on? Where the fuck have you been? I haven't seen you in 20 years. Put the Knicks on. Put your fucking pants on. Get the fuck out. The Knicks. Another fucking disaster. You forgot when Mike Woodson was the coach and they finished second with Carmelo? But Carmelo sucks, right? Carmelo's a piece of shit. That's bullshit. They played defense this year. That's why they finished fourth. They didn't change the culture. They didn't go out and get a big free agent. They didn't land Kevin Garnett remember Kevin Garnett. Oh, we're getting Braun and CP3 and everybody's coming. Nobody's coming to the fucking Knicks. They gave Amari Stoudemire $100 million because nobody else would. That's why he came here. Anyway, it's just a sad state right now. I mean, New York sports, we got the Jets. The Jets are coming, right? I'm not going to kill the Jets. I'm going to lay off the Jets this year as much as I can because I really do feel terrible that their coach died, and I'm not laughing at that. That's horrible. Because I could kill the Jets all day, and I'll take all comers. I will take all comers. Watch the video. Jets fan gives up. Just put that in your search engine and hit it up on YouTube. I burned all my Jets gear 8 years ago now. Is it 8 years? Has it been that long? 6 years, right? Because I think I was 40 when I did it. But I've been off the wagon for 8 years. Yeah, some major memorabilia. But I won't kill them. I'm not rooting against them. And my friends that are Jet fans, lifelong friends, lifelong Jet fans, I'm rooting for you. I'm not rooting for the Jets. You got a great head coach. I think he's going to be great for the next team that he coaches. He's the guy I would have picked. I wanted him to coach Michigan. People say I'm crazy. But just like, who's the last guy? I can't remember his name. Not Gase. The guy before Gase. He's the defensive coordinator for the Bucs. Why can't I remember his name? He's got a Super Bowl under his belt already. Right? I mean, what else do you need? I don't want to be crass and say the black guy, but the black guy. Played for the Washington Redskins, and poor guy, I can't remember his name. But Robert Saleh, he's a good coach. That guy is intense, right? He looks like he's ready for battle. When that guy shows up, right? You see him running the stairs before the game, right? That guy is, I'd go to war for that guy, right? That's an intense dude, right? Like Rex talked a big game, right? And he got you fired up. But Rex is like comic relief. Rex is the guy you need in charge of like the punt team, right? You need Rex on the sideline looking fierce and talking shit and then coming down and go, punt return team. Punt return team. And guys just start blowing snot bubbles because they're just ready to hit somebody because their head coach is insane and Rex Ryan is talking all kinds of shit, right? That's where you need Rex Ryan, right? Keeping guys like in check. Because football is an emotional game. You got to have guys that make your players blow snot bubbles and cry and want to kill somebody. Now, though, in the NFL, if you fucking blow on a guy, it's not even worth watching, right? But those are the kind of coaches, those are, that's a my era coach, right? I mean, Rex is a clown. Don't get me wrong. He's a complete and total clown. But he talks so much shit that he took all the pressure off the players. They could fucking shoot somebody in Fifth Avenue, like Donald Trump said. Nobody would give a shit because Rex is on the mic. He was just a walking soundbite. And then the tattoo and the fucking toe video. It doesn't stop, right? But that's not a head coach. You got Robert Saleh now. You got a fucking solid dude. You don't have to worry about any of that shit. He's going to take it on the chin every week for his players. He's going to keep it in-house. He's not going to dress you down. He's a now guy, and what I mean by that is he knows how to handle this era of players, right? I couldn't coach anymore because I'm a throwback to a different era, and that shit doesn't fly anymore, right? You say the wrong thing, and some little kid is gonna go crying home. Oh, Coach Justin said we suck today. That's it. You're fired. You know what I mean? Like, you can't even talk to... These are grown fucking men. And you have to dance around what you say to them on a practice field. That's fucking retarded. I know, you can't say retarded either. But it's fucking retarded. So the Jets got themselves a good head coach. I think if you consider how terrible they were under Adam Gase, rookie quarterback, I want to be able to say that they can win, 10 games. But that's just not reality. I think the over-under on the Jets is like 7.5 this year. Whatever it is, if it's 4.5, I'm taking the under. Okay, I'm taking the under. But good luck. You got a quarterback that I never would have drafted, but whatever. And he's married to this coach. This coach is married to him. Your GM, they're all married together. So same old Jets. New head coach, new GM, new quarterback. And away we go. Good luck. The Giants, you got Danny Dimes, who someone said this weekend, I forgot who it was, needs to be Danny Dollars. One of my regulars insists that he's cross-eyed, and that's why he can't throw the football. Not cross-eyed. What's the other one where the eye goes the other way? Like lazy eye or something like that? Yeah, I'm not that into it. I don't think that's the case. There's a name for it when your eyes don't look straight into the camera and one's a little off. Like fucking Peter Lorre or somebody. But yeah, MVP my ass. I would love to see. Why would I root against anything New York? It puts people at my bar. They want to come watch. It puts more money in my pocket. But I think I'm objective, and I just don't see I just don't see where they're getting any of this from. The Cowboys tonight, they looked. I know they lost to Tom Brady and the Bucs, but they kicked a field goal to win it at the end, right? They kicked 5 field goals tonight. 1 touchdown, and they would have beat the Bucs tonight. 1 more touchdown. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. If the Queen had ball, she'd be king. And Tom Brady does what he does. He didn't miss tonight, by the way. Tom Brady did not miss tonight. And if Godwin catches that deep ball, Tom Brady, terrible pass, hit him right in the hands. He catches that, game's over. But the Cowboys, they moved the ball on the world champs. They pushed them around tonight. That Bucs offensive line, as good as Brady looked tonight, they were getting pushed around. And that's my guy. Ali Marpet comes in here. He's a Candlelight regular. Hastings boy. He played well tonight. But that Bucs right tackle was getting beat tonight. That's all right. They'll figure that out. They'll straighten it out. They have a good offensive line. I'm not trying to kill them. But as much as everybody loves to hate the Cowboys, I don't think the rest of the NFC East is anywhere as good as the Bucs. So if the Cowboys play like they played tonight and get better every week, they're going to win that division. There's nobody else in that division that can hang with the Bucs the way the Cowboys did tonight. No chance. Not the Eagles, not the Redskins, not the Giants. It ain't happening. So I'm not going to say I was impressed by the Cowboys because I'm not a Dak Prescott fan. And maybe they shot their load tonight. Maybe tonight was their Super Bowl. That could very well be. Could be the best they're going to play all season. But if they play like that all season, they're going to be hard to beat in the NFC East. So, having only seen 1 game so far, I'll reserve judgment until next week. Going into the season before tonight, I didn't think the Giants were going to. There's just too many question marks. And I don't know that they fixed their offensive line. I know people were not happy with the lack of repairs made to that offensive line. But we'll see what happens, because they got who I think is a good coach in Joe Judge. And he seems to be accountable. He's a football guy, et cetera, et cetera. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he came out of the Patriot organization. I know that doesn't bode well for most coaches that come out of there, but I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's a good coach. Players respect him. Except for that guy that got shit canned in the preseason. I can't remember his name, but whatever. It's irrelevant. So the Jets, the Giants, talk about the Bills. I think the Bills are going to be in a dogfight for the division this year with the Patriots. Everybody wants to shit on the Patriots so badly. Belichick is nothing without Brady. Let's just do 2 things. One, let's roll it back to a year ago before Brady wins the Super Bowl. Let's just roll it back to when the Bucs were 7-5, right? Everybody was ready to write off Tom Brady, right? And if they weren't writing off Tom Brady, they had clearly already written off Bill Belichick. You really think that Bill Belichick isn't going to stand the test of time? If I told you had a 20-year window, who's going to win more Super Bowls? My money's on Belichick. My money's still on Belichick. I love Tom Brady. To hate Tom Brady at this point is futile. It's tiresome. If you're not watching, you don't have to be in awe, but if you can't appreciate what a 44-year-old guy is doing in the NFL today and say, he's a system quarterback, all those people, it's a system quarterback. You can't win without this guy. The only difference between this guy and that guy is Tom Brady, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's one or the other. You can't be a system quarterback and also be the difference in why the Jets aren't winning the division every year, right? Can't be both. System quarterback my ass. He was dropping dimes tonight. Belichick can coach another 20 years. I mean, that guy could coach until he's 100 probably, if he wants to. You know, I mean, that's what he does. Guys like that, that's what if they stop doing it, it's like Joe Paterno, right? Like Belichick is now like the Joe Paterno of the NFL. He's just minus the, child trafficking, whatever was going on at Penn State. That's fucked up. But I'm not laughing about that. But Belichick has time, right? And he only has to win one Super Bowl, right? Like he doesn't have to do anything. He's great. He's won 6 Super Bowls. What else do you need to do? Nothing. But if you're asking me, one can't live without the other, obviously Brady can live without Belichick. But if you think Belichick can't live without Tom Brady, you're insane. That doesn't mean that I think Mac Jones is going to be the next Tom Brady. I know a lot of people are comparing him. But do you think Belichick isn't going to come up with something? He's the evil genius. Did you see the numbers on the field tonight? They had defensive guys with single-digit numbers, and that was something Brady complained about in the offseason when they changed the rule, because he uses his jersey numbers to identify player positions. I can see it already. Belichick's going to have some guy listed as a inside linebacker wearing a number 2 jersey, and the guy's going to be lined up, inside or down. 3 technique, just coming at you with all kinds of smoke. I mean, it's Belichick, right? His second act is, this really is his second act when you think about it. But so what in closing are we looking for from Belichick? What has he got up his sleeve? If you just wrote him off because Brady's gone, you're a fool. Just like you're a fool if you're hating on Tom Brady at this point. There's no hating on Tom Brady. He might be president one day. I'm kind of hoping for that. Michigan man. Would love to see that. That would be fantastic. Tom Brady, president of the United States. Forget about your political preconceived notions, right? If we need somebody to galvanize the people, bring us back to the republic. You telling me that handsome Tom Brady son of a bitch smile, he's not the guy? Come on. Tebow could run for president. He'll win Florida. But, he's a little too polarizing. Brady, he's, a little bit more right down the middle. Whatever. Anyway, Belichick, he's out there. He's looming large. He's not going to go away. And if you're rooting against him, you're just a hater. At this point, that's fine. But to not appreciate what somebody like that can do and to see what else does he have left in the tank? Can they put it together? Not to make it simple, or to minimize what these coaches do or what these players do. But there's a very simple formula for winning in the NFL. Protect the quarterback, run the football, play good defense, and don't turn the ball over. Whether it's offense or special teams or whatever. Okay? Belichick knows the personnel. He knows who to put where and when. Yes, they need a quarterback. They need an offensive line. I think they'll be okay. And if I had to put my money on somebody long term, it's still Belichick. Not knocking Tom Brady. I love Tom Brady. Tom effing Brady. How great is that? Guy comes out of Michigan. Nobody wants him. I wanted the Jets to take him, not because I thought Tom Brady was going to become a Hall of Famer, but because as a Michigan fan, and having watched him play at Michigan, watch him beat Alabama in a bowl game, I'm like, this kid's got a big arm. He's 6'4". Why can't we take this guy? We need a quarterback. Let's take a flyer on a guy like this in the 5th or 6th round. What do I know? I don't know shit. I'm on my couch. I knew better than the Jets. But I'm not going to kill the Jets this year. I'm not going to do it. Maybe once. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about my friend, Coach Jim Herman, who was the defensive coordinator at Michigan in 1997 when they won the national championship. And I don't want to hear from any Nebraska fans about that, because Michigan would have wiped the floor with that high school offense that they ran back then. So Jim Herman left college football. He became a linebackers coach for the Jets and the Giants. He's then with the Colts. I believe he had a brief stint as an advisor for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's another regular here. He comes in every once in a while with his lovely wife, May. Shout out to the Herman family, who is currently coaching the Lazio Ducks in Italy. This is a great story. Great story. So hopefully we'll get Coach Herman in here for an interview one night, because I'd love to walk through how that happened. But I can tell you briefly that apparently I could play for the Lazio Ducks. They have everybody they have players on the team range from 18 to 48. So I'm right in there. So I could go play, pro football in Italy. All 300 pounds of me. Walk on the field. I'm here. Scusa. Io sono Justin Matteo. Sì. He said they have guys that are, 350, 400 pounds out there running around, and not for long. And he's got running backs just running around these guys. And then after 3 plays, they're on the sideline sucking gas, and it's a nightmare, But I'll let him tell the story, because it's pretty funny. So I wish him luck. I'm not sure how long the season was. I think they only play like 6 or 8 games or something like that. But that's if you want to have some fun and just look at an alternative viewpoint, something not the XFL, something outside of the United States, check out the Lazio Ducks football team in Italy. So here we are now, where I don't know how many months it is. I lost count into this COVID ridiculousness, and I'm not getting vaccinated. I'm not vaccinated. I shouldn't say I won't get vaccinated. When the vaccine becomes a vaccine and actually inoculates you and prevents you from getting COVID, I'll get the shot. When it passes clinical trials, I'll think about it. But today, our president looked you dead in the eye and said, do the right thing. Why is this political? If Trump said that, half the country would be up in arms. They'd be marching in the streets to impeach him. But Biden says it, and the rest of us are basically all evil. You've got celebrities on talk shows late night telling people if they don't get the shot, basically that they should die. Where do we live right now? That's just wrong. And when the president smiles through his teeth at you like Thurston Howell, he's like the fucking bad guy in every movie. I just can't imagine what it would be like if Trump was out there saying, get vaccinated, with his 6-point plan that basically cripples every business. I mean, this is a war now. You've turned this into a fucking war. You're turning people against one another. And it's entirely politicized. Fauci has been caught lying I don't know how many times now. I'm sick of seeing his fucking face. This is the future of our country. This is where we are now. After suffering together through 9/11 and the aftermath of that, we're now so far apart that we have to be scolded for having a different opinion. Fact-based opinion. Scolded by the President of the United States. And for those of you talking about George Washington, because you lefties love to harp on that, he had his troops inoculated with the smallpox vaccine. You get the smallpox vaccine, you don't get smallpox. Because it's a vaccine. The COVID shot does not inoculate you. George Washington did that as it was the right thing to do and inoculated his troops so that they didn't have an outbreak and they could fight the war. So let's not conflate two things here. There's no inoculating anyone from COVID. Does it help you recover quicker? Yes, it does. I'm not disputing that. Am I telling anybody not to get it? I would never tell anybody not to get the shot. And those that do, I don't shame them for getting the shot. If you've got pre-existing conditions and this is something that might help you avoid a real long battle with this, by all means, get the shot. If you're somebody whose immune system is compromised or susceptible to compromise from vaccines, then don't get the shot. Just today on the news, there was a girl who got a vaccine and she was subsequently paralyzed from the waist down from a vaccine. I mean, that just shouldn't happen to people, but it's one in a million, 1 in a trillion, whatever the numbers are. So I'm not using that as an excuse for people to not get the vaccine. But you're going to force me, you're going to hold me down and stick a needle in me and inject me with poison? I don't think so. I'll decide what goes in and out of this body. And yeah, my body, my choice. And I won't get into that because this is my body. I'll decide who treats this son of a bitch like an amusement park or not. But this was talked about, deliberated, whatever. We know we got fucked here. We know this didn't come from no fucking bat. They've been eating bats for 10,000 years in China. You think this came from a bat? Please. This was man-made and it was unleashed on us. And if you think I'm crazy for saying it, fine. But if you think for 1 second that I'm going to let the guy who unleashed this on us tell me that I now have to take his vaccine, fuck out of here. Pharmaceutical companies got us on tilt. They're making money hand over fist. What was a free exam just a week ago to get a rapid test now costs $140 at CVS. Go fuck yourself. Oh, get tested. Test this. Again, there's people out there suffering. People got this virus. They got it bad. Lost their lives. That aside, you don't infringe on people's rights. Not like this. This is wrong. This is dead wrong. I don't know where we go from here, but to see that SOB stand there and tell people, do the right thing. Who the fuck are you to talk to people like that? They could have kept us all home. They could have shut everything down. I keep saying they, but I didn't agree with it. But they did it. Who am I to stop them? And then it was, well, if you're essential, you can go to work. Then baseball, football didn't miss a beat. College football, but not NFL football. They didn't miss a beat. NBA had its championship, hockey, they all came back. While the rest of us were stuck at home, not working, unable to pay fucking bills, unable to make a living. What is essential about a fucking hockey player? Or a baseball player? Or a fucking football player? That they got to go back to work because they were in a bubble? Fuck that. When did they become essential? When did athletes become more important than you or me or your children? How many rallies did we watch? Thousands of people marching in the street. And good for them. Not trying to take their right away. But if it was a Trump rally, you're evil. You're despicable. Oh my goodness, you want to go to church? You should go to hell for that. What is that? What is that? On what fucking planet do we live right now? I can tell you, we don't live in a republic anymore. Because that shit doesn't fly in a republic. It's a sad state. $10,000 people can go fucking scream and yell in front of a courthouse and debate what fucking bathroom somebody has to use. But I can't go to church and pray for my family because I might fart in the pew and the priest might fucking breathe it in and give COVID to a fucking altar boy. That's the only fucking thing he should be giving to an altar boy. That's another story. I won't get into that. But I have to be ostracized because I fucking believe in God? Because I believe there's a higher power? Or maybe I just want to fucking get away from my family for fucking 10 minutes and go say a Hail Mary. But the thousands of you can fucking congregate in the street, shoulder to shoulder with no masks on, in the middle of a pandemic, outside Trump Tower, screaming and yelling, painting the streets. That's fine. If you're really worried about them, you'd stop them. It's a fucking show. It's a goddamn show. Like fucking Marilyn Manson said, we're all stars in the dope show. We're fucking walking zombies right now. If George Washington was still alive, this shit wouldn't fly. He may still get his troops vaccinated. But him and his 3%, they'll show you what a fucking insurrection looks like. 3% of the people right now is 10,500,000. Not a few hundred or a few thousand banging down the Capitol doors, sitting at Nancy Pelosi's desk. No. You want to see an insurrection, and remember that 3% of the people that lived in this country at that time pulled off the revolution. 3%. It's a lot less than 10 million. A lot less. 10 million armed citizens today. Where are they? Where are the George Washingtons? Where are the people that are willing to put their lives on the line and forego their family's future to save the fucking republic, to build a better future, to get away from tyranny? Where are they? Far be it from me to be that guy. I'm not trying to start a revolution or cause an insurrection or incite a riot. I'm just asking you to put it in perspective. 10 million people, 3%. Today, 3%, 10 million people. And you can call them whatever you want. You want to call them rednecks. You want to call them racists. You want to call them bigots, xenophobes, whatever fucking name you want to throw out there. Whatever makes you feel better. When that 3% is coming, you'll fucking see what an insurrection looks like. Because that's where we're fucking headed. And frankly, it feels like the people in charge want that. And when Joe Biden makes a comment like, we have tanks and airplanes, in reference to an armed militia having AR-15s, or any rifle for that matter, he's tipping his hand. You're going to send the military in to shoot Americans on American soil? That doesn't sound like a republic to me. That sounds like fucking tyranny. Because it is fucking tyranny. And if you ain't woke to it, wake the fuck up. Because if it doesn't come now, it's coming later. And there is nothing civil about a civil war. And I'm not wishing that on us, because I don't think we're very far apart on issues. I think if we got rid of the two-party system, like George Washington warned us about, we'd be a lot better off. We're fighting over dumb shit, and the whole country's up in arms over dumb shit. The whole country's up in arms over which bathroom you can fucking pee in. Come on, man. Anyway. Behind me, over my right shoulder, you can see the Screw You t-shirt, which, if you can't put it together, I'll put it together for you. The Houston Astros are a bunch of fucking cheating bastards, led by Carlos Correa, who can kiss my fucking ass, that piece of shit. I hope he's watching the podcast. Fuck him and that midget, Altuve. They fucking cheated. Major League Baseball knows they fucking cheated, and they fucking whitewashed it. And frankly, the Red Sox fucking cheated too. And if you want to draw the line because of what Beltran said, fine. The Yankees cheated too, which is bullshit, and everybody knows it. Come and get me. Get a t-shirt. Log in to Twitter or Instagram. Follow at Boinger Sports. Click the link in the bio. Grab yourself a t-shirt for $20. And show the Houston Astros what you think of their cheating asses. I don't think very much of them, to be honest with you. And I don't want any of those sons of bitches signing contracts with the Yankees. I can barely stand Garrett Cole as it is. But it is what it is. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to the Candlelight for allowing me the space and time. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. And that brings us to the close of Behind the Stick, Episode 2. Salute.